Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet nasta preshu badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavate uttama shloke bhakti bhavati naistaki. So, Navi, I need to share screen with you if you allow me.
You should be able to do it.
Okay. Thank you. So we're doing devotional, and again, my greetings and pranams to all the devotees. We're doing the theme of these classes, and we're up to part 5 now, is how can we surrender and why do we find it hard to surrender to the Lord? This is something I explained in the very first class, that it's something that applies to all the devotees. These classes are not necessarily pitched at the most advanced devotees, although I've said before at the opening class, is that it doesn't matter what profession we're in, especially if it's some kind of crafts, you know, dancing, music, whatever. There are some basic things that you learn, and all that you do, which is in an advanced way, is only a combination of the basic things. So the same things apply, principles apply in spiritual life. So whilst it is not aimed at advanced devotees can benefit from this class and other such classes, because rather than new learning, it becomes confirmation of what you know. And confirmation and confidence and that sense of faith in what we know is important, because spiritual life and as practices, the practice of spiritual life is not for a moment, it's not for a year. Especially in we're fortunate enough to be within this Sanatan tradition, where we know the technical details. And part of the technical details is that your thought at the time of death, that mentality, that consciousness, the desires you have at that crucial moment will determine your next destination. So we have to be prepared, you know, to continue this practice of devotional life all the way through to the end. So that means that we have to become very confident, very sure, and very stable, very fixed. It's called faith, nishta, firm faith in what we're practicing. So confirmation of what we're doing is also a nice thing for any advanced devotees who are on this call. But we're talking about devotional service, and we got to the point last week where we finished with devotional service, and we're talking about the 9 processes of bhakti, the 9 processes of devotional service. And I wanted to go into, I had all the slides. I wanted to go straight into Srila Prabhupada's, what Sukadev Goswami says to Parikshit Maharaj, and then also what Srila Prabhupada explained. But I realized that if I do that straight away, I'm going to lose an opportunity to say a little bit more about the glories of devotional service and those 9 principles. So I wanted to say a little bit more about those 9 principles of devotional service and then go into the purports, which may be into next week, but we'll see how time allows. I'm also inviting your questions and your comments, and I'll leave some time for it, but I'll also create a bit of space where devotees can reflect on what is being presented. So the 9 processes of devotional service. Did I do the pranam prayers, Nabi? Have I done them? I did the Mahamantra. Did I do the pranam prayers? Om Gyan?
No.
Om Gyan Timurandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Udapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamstra Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsta He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate He Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavanishvare Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Panamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhavevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Sivasri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So these prayers are not just some ritual that the devotees, like a robot-like do. They're very important because we are empowered to do something. We can't do anything in spiritual life. We're empowered. We're empowered by our Guru and by the Acharyas and by the Lord. The blessing is flowing through the parampara. So these prayers are invoking that mercy and appealing for that mercy. So they need to be done. So the 9 processes of devotional service, Srimad Bhagavatam 7.5 explains Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Atanam Vandanam Dasyam, Sakyam Atmanivedanam. So, translation, hearing about Krishna, chanting about him, remembering him, offering service to his lotus feet, offering him worship in the temple, offering prayers, working as his servant, making friendship with him, and unreservedly surrendering to him. All these are the 9 processes of devotional service, and they're all very, very powerful and very important. One can directly approach, if Srila Prabhupada is saying, one can directly approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by executing these 9 kinds of devotional service. There are 9 different processes of devotional service, but all of them, are important, and they're only directed for intended for the service of the Lord. Okay. In Chaitanya Chaitamrita, Adilila, text 25, we have this verse. Adumbara vriksha yena pale sarva. I can't read where the signs are. I know. E mata bhakti vriksha savatra phala. I can't see the last bit. The last bit's at the end. I can't see it now.
So it was Sarva Ange?
Yes, Ange. E mata bhakti vriksha savatra phala.
Lage.
Lage. Okay. And the translation is as a big fig tree bears fruits all over its body, each part of the tree of devotional service bore fruit. Dear Prabhupada, whose purports, if you have not started to dive a little deeper into Srila Prabhupada's purports, I will say, please start preparing to dive, because whatever we want to have explained nicely, Srila Prabhupada somewhere or the other in one of those wonderful translations is made has given us some perfect answers, perfect explanations to whatever we may require to know. And I first saw this. I first got a hint of Prabhupada's purports, not because, not on my own, because I was reading Srila Prabhupada's purpose, and we all do that. But it's about the importance of it. I first got a hint in Mayapur. Nabi was at Mayapur the same time, and it was Guru Maharaj's case. Guru Maharaj trial was going on, and Guru Maharaj got a little bit annoyed with me, and he said to me, go and speak to different devotees about what was going on. And I didn't know anybody in Mayapur, but anyway, I knocked on a few doors, and I knocked on one, sannyasi's door. And I explained to him what was going on and everything. And he said, it's all very interesting, but right now I'm studying Srila Prabhupada's purports. You know, and I never forgot his words to me. And at that time, I didn't understand the glories of Srila Prabhupada's purports. And I'm not saying I fully understand the glories of Srila Prabhupada's purports, but I'm certainly getting more and more aware that Srila Prabhupada, you know, we respect and honor him as our acharya, but we also waste time, you know, in not going deeper into what he has actually presented to us. So Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Srila Prabhupada's purport regarding what I've just spoke about, the process of devotional service, is very instructive. The tree of devotional service is not of this material world. It grows in the spiritual world. It grows in the spiritual world, where there is no distinction between one part of the body and the other. So the tree of devotional service, of which the 9 processes of bhakti we're describing, is not from this material world. It grows in the spiritual world, where there's no distinction in the spiritual world with one part of the body and the other. It is something like a tree of sugar, where one part of the tree, whichever part of the tree one tastes, is always sweet. The tree of bhakti, variety of branches, leaves, and fruits, they are all meant for the service of Supreme Personality of Godhead. The example Srila Prabhupada given here is very important, because if the whole tree is made of sugar cane, not only the fruit is sweet, the twig is sweet, the leaf is sweet, so it's wherever you taste it, you'll taste a sweet taste. So bhakti, devotional service is like that. It's all very, very auspicious. There are 9 different processes of devotional service: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vadanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. We hear that, but all of them are meant for the service of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, whether one hears, this is Srila Prabhupada's purpose, whether one chants, remembers, and worships, these activities will yield the same fruit. Which one of these processes will be the most suitable for a particular devotee depends on his taste. So of the 9 processes, there is no competition to say, well, this is not important, that is not. They're all very potent and very important. But there is a little distinction. It's not about importance, it's about sequence. Equally important, each one is valid, but there is a sequence in which to start to apply these processes of devotional service. And Lord Chaitanya is the person who actually gave the guidance on the sequence. In the Nectar of Devotion, these 9 devotional processes are expanded into 64 items. When Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked the Lord which one was the most important, Sri Chaitanya immediately answered that the most important item was chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then he quoted the verse from the Brihad Narada Puran to confirm the statement that he made. I don't have that quote at the moment, but he verified it, as all the acharyas do. And he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, never mind acharya. So Srila Prabhupada goes on to explain it. One cannot attain love of Godhead by executing karma kand or jnana kand, or by dedicating one's karma or fruitive activities to Supreme Lord. One can be relieved from the polluted mind and become free from mental pollution and be elevated to spiritual life. The bit that I can't read, Jayanti, please, the last 3 lines I can't read. To be relieved. Okay, Jayanti? Okay, that's it. You're unmuted.
Okay.
To be relieved.
from the polluted mind and becoming free from mental pollution helps elevate one to the spiritual platform.
Zoom call at the moment.
Right. Okay. So very, very important. One has to actually get rid of that polluted mind. And what I will do by Lord's mercy is that in the next class, I was reading something just 2 days ago in my morning program from 4th canto Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's a link to this verse here and to this explanation by Srila Prabhupada. So I'll share that in our next class about how the mind is polluted and how long ago the mind has been polluted. So this process that we're engaged in, Srila Prabhupada and all the acharyas have tried to tell us, is a cleaning up process. We have to get back. Srila Prabhupada has explained to attain and to achieve and to maintain Krishna consciousness. What he doesn't put the side on is that he doesn't put the side on and the emphasis on all polluted material consciousness. He does in some places, but instead he puts the emphasis on the positive. Achieve Krishna consciousness, maintain Krishna consciousness. But the problem where we struggle is because we are in polluted material consciousness. And that polluted mind has to be cleaned up before we can get to that stage of approaching properly and becoming fixed in spiritual life. And I've got some examples from Srimad Bhagavatam that I'll share with you next week about that, because it's good for us to understand. It's not just this lifetime, we are awake this lifetime, but it's been many, 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 many thousands, if not millions of lifetimes for us to come to this process. Then, however, one needs the association of pure devotees. Only by a pure devotee association can one become a pure devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah, and it makes sense when you think about it logically. Whichever profession we have, doesn't matter what our professional qualification. I'm an accountant, I'm an engineer, I am a doctor, I'm a teacher, I'm a lawyer. I didn't become that by myself. I become qualified under the tuition of somebody who's already qualified. If I want to become a carpenter, I may have some skills, but I have to go and be trained by a carpenter. I may well excel that carpenter who trained me. I may become much better than him. He's only building sheds and I may be building big, big houses and skyscrapers. Doesn't matter. But the main thing is that my skills will be developed under that person's tuition. So it's nothing strange when we see it. So if you want to become, and we want to become devotees, and especially to get the highest devotional service, your hands can't reach out and take it. We're not qualified. We have to be shown the process. It's not about aptitude and ability. Aptitude and ability may very well be there. That is never a question. And who can judge? No one can judge. But it's the process. The process can only be given by somebody who knows it. And that person is the Lord's fixed up devotee. We're talking now about the Guru, the Acharyas. So in this sense, anyone who actually at the moment in this class who is not initiated and you're not aspiring for a Guru at the moment, then you should actually just take your instruction and your guidance from Srila Prabhupada and very clearly see that. But no speculation, because part of this process is to actually completely finish speculation. No one can speculate. These big, big scientists, even with their Hubble telescopes, that can go out into deep space, they're still speculating about what is the source of space. We think space is expanding. We think this is like that, and Darwin theory, and then we evolved from this and this and that. It's all theory. Although you may have a very big brain, it's all theory. But in devotional service, there's no such making your own theory. We follow in the example of those, and that's what the Guru gives. That's what the Acharya gives. He doesn't come with his idea, I've got a good idea. He comes with that which he received from his Guru, because it's the absolute truth. There's no improving it. There's no adjusting it. It's just applying it. Apply it. And that's when then you find out I have to become in a certain state of mind and consciousness, then I can apply it. So this, you'll only get to that stage when you're associating with a devotee. And that is important. There's no getting away around this. One has to. So in the time, space when you are at whatever stage we are at, we haven't got initiation yet, we should aspire for it. It's not an option. I always say it's not an option, spiritual initiation. It's a necessity. But in the interim, you actually surrender fully to Srila Prabhupada and take your instruction from him. Don't try to work this thing out ourselves. It's not possible. We'll never get there. It has to be through this process. You have to associate with a pure devotee. And by that pure devotee, I'm saying it, there's some things not said here because it's not about all the devotional service, but you associate and serve. All those who are initiated will know. You associate and serve. As soon as you start associating, the next thing comes is service. And this is how you become established in spiritual life. So in this way, please become, fixed up and convinced about what the process is. But also don't be worried and disappointed. You may be some time away from your own guru, and it's also a desire. It's a heartfelt desire to have a guru. Krishna will send one, in that way. But until that time comes, then surrender to Srila Prabhupada fully, heartfelt. Don't make up your own version or misinterpret or think, well, maybe he didn't fully understand what he was saying. Everything is completely understood by the acharyas. When one comes to the stage of pure devotional service, the process of Shravanam Kirtanam is very essential to execute the 9 items of devotional service, beginning with Shravanam Kirtanam. One is completely purified when you're doing it at that stage in a nice way. And then, just want to get to the point where I can ask, give you a chance to ask some questions. One can complete the 9 processes of devotional service simply. Here is the magic of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and also given to us by Srila Prabhupada. One can complete the 9 processes of devotional service simply by chanting the holy name. But no one should misunderstand me and also misquote me. This is Kirtanam. And I'm not going to quote what the Srimad Bhagavatam says. Shravanam, it says first. Shravanam, Kirtanam. So it lists all of them. So they're all important. And I've just read you about what Srila Prabhupada was giving a lovely example in the purport about the sugar cane and the fact that every aspect of this devotional service is pure and potent. But because there is something called Kali Yuga, according to time and circumstances, then Lord Chaitanya came to inaugurate this chanting of the Maha Mantra. And Srila Prabhupada knew this, and Bhaktisiddhanta and Bhaktivinoda Thakur, all these acharyas, they know what is best for this age. So therefore, they're not in a competition about what process is best. They're not saying, don't do the others. They're just saying, if you focus on this chanting, Kirtanam, you're practically doing all the other 9 processes of devotional service. Very, very important point being made here by Srila Prabhupada. One can complete the 9 processes of devotional service simply by chanting the holy name. This bit's gonna fall off for me at the end, Jayanti. So please read that Chaitanya Chaitamrita translation.
So one can complete the 9 processes of devotional service simply by chanting the holy name.
Yes. The last bit, the last paragraph.
That's it.
No, I've got Chaitanya. Okay, yeah.
Chaitanya Madhya 15:107.
Yes.
Okay, so translation purport: simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna once, a person is relieved from all the reactions of a sinful life. One can complete the 9 processes of devotional service simply by chanting the holy name.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Jayanti. So there it is. Out of the 9 processes of devotional service, Kirtanam is very important. It doesn't say it's the most important. It doesn't say forget all the others. It says, and you have to see why it's important. It's according to time and circumstances. So within our circumstances, within this time, Kali Yuga, it becomes very, very important. And actually more so because the Lord has given his emphasis on it. As for being freed from all sinful reactions, chanting the holy name of Krishna only once, one must chant the holy name without committing any offenses. The chanting of one name is sufficient to remove
sufficient to rescue.
Okay, a living being from all sinful reactions. I'll just read the rest of it and then I'll see. Such a person who chants a holy name of the Lord offenselessly is very important. And is it something?
Yeah, and that's it. And
worshipable? Indeed, the 9 devotional processes beginning with Shravanam and Kirtanam can be all attained at once if one simply chants the holy name of the Lord offenselessly. Very, very important. Now, on our Friday class, we're talking and we're going through Daksha curses Lord Shiva. But Srila Prabhupada, when he gave us the Maha Mantra, he gave us the 10 offenses to avoid. When you take Diksha, you have to make your vow about 4 sinful activities that you won't no longer participate in. Very important for us to understand. But the most, and then Vaishnava etiquette and Vaishnava devote qualities, they're there. They are not something that should be ignored. There's no possibility of a devotee chanting offenselessly if you are offensive in your heart. You cannot be a demon one moment and then the next minute you take up your bead bag and you're going to chant offenseless rounds. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. You have to practice what you preach. You have to be congruent. You have to be congruent means you have to be lined up. You have to be sincere is an easier word. You have to be sincere. The devotional qualities must be there. When there's no offense, when the intention is pure, then that chanting, just by chanting once, one can actually finish, all lifetimes sinful activities. But because we are so polluted, because we are so conditioned, and because we have so many anarthas, unwanted qualities, the chances are we won't be able to chant unoffensively. But we should be aspiring to do that. And I want to make the connection that devotional qualities is linked to offenseless chanting. Offenseless chanting isn't just I want to find a nice location, this garden is very nice, the roses smell so sweet, the sun is shining very nicely, no breezes disturbing me, insects are there, now I can chant nicely. The atmosphere may be very nice, but what about your heart? What about your mind? That has to be also right. 1 minute you're cursing out devotees, you're thinking how much you hate so-and-so, and the next thing you want to chant nicely and offenselessly. It doesn't work. There has to be consistency. But if we can chant offenselessly, then we can see the result is just tremendous. So I'm leaving it here deliberately with Srila Prabhupada because it's not possible for a fallen devotee like me to glorify my own Guru Maharaj or to glorify Srila Prabhupada enough. I'm simply like somebody waking up from a dream and understanding what glory Srila Prabhupada has done and his mercy on us fallen souls. And also the opportunity is given us because these books are here, the society is here, and we should avail ourselves of it in a very serious way, as serious as time and circumstances allow. I had so I'm going to stop here now for questions and for comments. I had a feedback from a fairly young devotee recently who I've been trying to get to chant. And and to practice devotional life for a number of years now. And the feedback I had was very gratifying, because that person said to me, do you know, I no longer feel a guilty or ashamed, because I've worked out a routine. I've worked out a routine when I do my chanting, when I do my listening to bhajans, and when I do my reading. I've worked out a routine, and everything now fits in place. And I've been saying this in my classes for a long time to grihastas. It will be a struggle to practice spiritual life. It will be a struggle to actually engage in the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. But no one can come, whilst the preacher can say, yes, you should do this. They can't say what time to do it, or where in your house to do it. No, they can't say that. They only encourage you to do it. Your job is to struggle with the where and the when. And once you get the formula right, that's it. Things will actually click into place and stay in place. So I give you the encouragement, whatever we are struggling with as far as the, practicing devotional life, we should actually, especially in Grihastha situation, ashram, we should continue struggling it and adjusting it until eventually it comes right. When it comes right, there's a very deep sense of satisfaction. And it's awaiting anyone who is still struggling with the routines. That balance will come sooner or later. That's a worthy struggle. It will settle sooner or later. So Nabi Prabhu, I'd like to stop here, invite any questions, any queries from the devotees. And then hopefully I've left Indulekha Mataji enough time to do her mantras.
That sounds good. Anybody like to ask any questions from Prabhu? I wanted to make a suggestion. Yesterday we had a very nice session, and Sam's brothers joined us, and that was really very good, because they were asking very nice questions. And we decided in 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks Saturday, we will have a session on the soul, and they will join. And we'll talk through that, the Vedic conception of the soul. And I think if you join on that Saturday, because they will appreciate different, because you've got the Christian background.
Yeah.
You will understand exactly where they're coming from.
Yeah, I'll be happy to do that.
Brilliant. So what I'll do is I'll do a small, maybe a 10-minute presentation on the soul.
Okay.
And then we'll open it up for questions.
Good.
And then let's see where it heads.
Okay. Well, that's nice.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, really good.
What was the topic yesterday then?
Yesterday was a journey of the soul, and it was a virtual day trip of Yamlok.
All right. Okay.
I haven't had any feedback yet, though. I haven't.
Sorry?
I haven't had a feedback yet from them. So I'm waiting for our usual Sunday WhatsApp conversation.
Yes.
I'm in my crop top, and then I can gauge their mood and what they felt yesterday.
Yes, absolutely.
But even if there's still some doubts, do invite them to that class, because it takes a long time for the doubts to go away. So even if there's some doubts, please, they should encourage them to come into the class anyway.
I wish I can, because the older one is complete atheist.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. He doesn't believe in anything at all, you know.
Then what you have to do with people like that, you have to just use tricks. You have to use tricks. So whatever tricks you can use. I understand. You come on, that is going to be something very interesting. You'll be surprised what you hear. So whatever tricks you have to trick them, like that. You're not telling any lies, but you're just trying to realize their mentality is such that, you have to just use tricks if you can with that one.
No, tell them we are going to have a wonderful feast, which we will. It'll be a good feast. Show them.
I'll leave it with Krishna, whatever Krishna decides, really.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, these things take time, and your job is to continue to offer, and eventually you'll be surprised who will take and actually how much progress they will make. It's a very interesting process, spiritual process.
Yes, okay. Very good. If nobody's got a question, it is Ekadashi today.
Yeah.
And we can do a quick reading of the Ekadashi.
Okay. But make sure you leave a little time for Indulekha Mataji to
No, she's definitely doing that.
Okay,
so
good.
What we'll do is maybe she can do now.
Okay.
After which we'll read the Ekadashi. There may be some questions people may have thought of in the meantime.
Yeah.
So Indulekha Mataji, would you like to chant the Gajendra Stuti?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, can you do an Ekadashi now? I'm a bit busy and then I'll join.
Okay.
I'm listening though. Okay?
Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
Okay.
Okay, so sorry, we haven't had time today to do this summary version of this Ekadashi. So I'll read it, read the full version.
Very
so,
good.
Indira Ekadashi. The glories of Indira Ekadashi are described in the Brahma Vaivat Purana in a conversation between Lord Krishna and Maharaj Yudhishthir. Maharaj Yudhishthir said, "O Krishna, O Madhusudan, O killer of the demon Madhu, what is the name of Ekadashi that occurs during the waning moon in the month of September, October? What are the rules and regulations for observing this Ekadashi, and what is the merit one gains by observing it?" Lord Krishna replied, "The name of this sacred Ekadashi is Indira Ekadashi. By observing this Ekadashi, one can deliver his degraded forefathers, and all of his own sinful reactions are eradicated." O king, there was a king named Indrasen who lived in Satyug. He was very expert in subduing his enemies and ruled his kingdom, Mahismatipuri, with great prosperity. Surrounded by his children and grandchildren, he lived happily. He was always attached to the devotional service of Lord Vishnu. Being a devotee constantly absorbed in spiritual knowledge, the king spent his time chanting the holy names of Sri Govinda, the bestower of liberation. One day, as the king was happily sitting on his royal throne, Sri Narad Muni suddenly appeared before him from the sky. On seeing the great sage Narad, the king immediately stood up with folded hands and then offered his respectful obeisances to him. The king then duly worshipped the sage by 16 ingredients. After the sage was happily seated, he asked in this end, "O great king, is everyone happy and prosperous in your kingdom? Is your mind fixed in religious principles? And are you engaged in devotional service to Vishnu?" The king replied, "O best of the sages, everything is well and auspicious by your mercy. Today, my life has become successful by your darshan, and my performance of sacrifice has borne fruit. O sage, among the demigods, please tell me the cause of your visit." After hearing these humble words of the king, Narad Muni said, "O like king, now hear about a wonderful incident that happened to me. O best of kings, once I went to the abode of Yamraj from the abode of Lord Brahma. Yamraj greeted me respectfully and worshipped me properly. After I was comfortably seated, offered prayers to the pious, truthful Yamraj. Then I saw your greatly pious father in the assembly of Yamraj. As a result of breaking a vow, your father had to go there, O king. He sent me a message and requested me to convey it to you. He said, in this end, the king of Mahismatipuri is my son. O Lord, please tell him that due to some sinful activities committed in my previous life, I'm now living in the abode of Yamraj. Therefore, he should observe the vow of Indira Ekadasi and give away his piety to me. Then I will be released from my present condition of life." Narad Muni continued, "O king, this is your father's request to you. In order to deliver your father to the spiritual world, you should observe the vow of Indira Ekadashi." Then King Indrasen said, "O sage among the demigods, kindly explain to me the procedure for following this Indira Ekadashi." Narad Muni replied, "On the day before Ekadashi, one should take bath early in the morning and faithfully offer oblations to the forefathers for the satisfaction. On that day, one should eat only once and sleep on the floor at night. On the day of Ekadashi, one should rise early in the morning, brush his teeth, wash his hands and mouth, and take bath. Thereafter, he should take a vow to not indulge in any kind of material enjoyment, and thus observe a total fast. We should also pray to the Lord, saying, O Lotus-eyed One, I take shelter of you. Therefore, at noon, in front of Shaligram Shila, you should offer oblations to his forefather, according to proper rules and regulations. Then you should worship the Brahmins by feeding them sumptuously, and then giving them dakshina. At the end, one should give the remnants of the oblations to the cows. During the day, one should worship Lord Rishikesh by offering sandalwood paste, flowers, incense, lamp, and foodstuffs devotion. One should remain awake that night while chanting, hearing, and remembering the names, forms, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. The next morning, one should worship Lord Hari and feed the Brahmins. Thereafter, one should break his fast by eating along with his brothers, children, grandchildren, and relatives while maintaining silence. O king, if you follow this Ekadashi as I have just described, then your father will certainly attain the abode of Vishnu. After speaking in this way, Narad Muni disappeared. According to the instructions of Narad Muni, King Indrasen strictly observed this Ekadashi, accompanied by his children, servants, and others. As a result of observing this Ekadashi, flowers showered from the sky, and the father of King Indrasen immediately rode on the back of Garuda to the abode of Lord Vishnu. Then the saintly King Indrasen ruled his kingdom without any impediment, and at the end of his life, he entrusted the kingdom to his son and personally returned to the spiritual world. Such are the glories of Indira Ekadashi. Anyone who reads or hears the glories of this Ekadashi becomes free from all sinful reactions and ultimately returns to the abode of Vishnu. Indira Ekadashi ki jai.
Very good.
Okay, now I'm ready.
Brilliant.
Sorry, at this time I'm in the middle of cooking, so yeah. Okay, so can I start?
Absolutely.
Okay, can everybody hear me properly this time?
Yes.
Yes.
It's good.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I think everybody knows the story of Gajendra. He was a king in the Rimya in his previous life, and he was cursed, so he became an elephant. And then he prayed to Lord Vishnu when he was attacked by a crocodile. And this is a prayer that he offered. It's a very nice story, but it's too long. For now, I will stop here. Okay, so Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shri Gajendra Uvacha. Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yeta Etakchitatmakam Purushaya Vijaya Parishaya Bhidimahi Yasminidam Yetischedam Yenadam Ya Idam Swayam Yosmak Paramakcha Paras Tam Prapadye Swayam Bhuvam Ya Swatmadidam Nijamayaya Pirtam Kvachit Vibhatam Kvachotatirohitam Avida Dikshapsayubhayam Tatiksate Sa Atma Mulavatu Mam Parat Paraha Kalina Panchatvamiteshu Kritanashu Lokeshu Paleshu Cha Sarva Hitushu Tamastada Sidgahanam Gabhiram Yastasya Pare Bhivirajate Vibhuhu Na Yasya Deva Risaya Padam Vidur Jantu Punarko Rati Gandamiritam Yathanatasya Kritibir Vichestatu Duratyayanu Kramasamavatu Didiksavo Yasya Padam Sumangalam Vimukta Sangham Naya Susadhava Charantiya Loka Vratam Avranam Vani Bhutatma Bhuta Shuridan Sami Gatihi Na Vidyate Yasya Janma Karmava Na Nama Rupa Guna Dosha Evava Tatapi Lokapyaya Sambhavaya Yaha Swamayaya Tenyanukalam Richati Tasmai Nama Pareshaya Brahmanyananta Shaktaye Rupayo Rupaya Namascharya Karmane Namo Atma Pradipaya Shakshine Paramatmane Namo Giram Viduraya मनसाश्चितसम् अपि सद्विनो प्रतिलभ्याय निष्कर्मेण विपाश्चित नमः कैवल्यानाथाय निर्गुणसुखसंविदे नमो सन्ताये घोराये मुध्याये गुणाधर्मिणे निर्विशेषाये सम्याये नमो ज्ञानघनायश्च सित्राण्य नमस्तुभ्यं सर्वदक्षये शक्षिणे पुरुषायात्मामूलाय मूलप्रकृताये नमः सर्वेन्द्रियगुणादृष्टे सर्वप्राप्याय हेतव असताचाय युक्ताय सदवसाय ते नमः नमो नमस्ते खिलेकरणाय निष्करणायाद्भूताकरणाय सर्वगमाम्नय महर्नवाय नमोपवर्गाय पर्यानय गुणाराणि चनाचिद् उष्मापाय तत्शोभा विस्फुर्जित मनसाय नैष्कर्म्येन भवेन विवर्जितागम स्वयं प्रकाशायो नमस्करोमि मद्रिक्प्रपाना पशुपशा विमुक्षनाय मुक्ताय भूरि करुणाय नमो लयाय स्वं सेना सर्वतनुबृन्मनसि प्रतीता प्रत्यग्जिषे भगवते बृहति नमस्ते आत्मात्मा जपति गृहावित गणेषु शक्तिर्दुष्टपानाय गुणासङ्घ विवर्जिताय मुक्तात्मा विश्वहृदये परिभाविताय ज्ञातात्मने भगवते नमः ईश्वराय यं धर्मा कर्माता विमुक्तिकामा भजन्तस्तं गतिम् अप्नुवन्ति किं च शिशोरति अपि देहमव्यायं करोतु मे दिभ्रादायो विमोक्षणम् एकान्तिनो यस्य न कञ्चनार्थं वञ्चन्ति ये वै भगवत्प्रपानः कियद्भुतं तच्चरितं सुमङ्गलं गयन्तमनन्दसमुद्रमग्नः तमक्षरं ब्रह्म परं परेशम् अव्याक्तमध्यात्मिका योगागम्यम् अतीन्द्रियं सूक्ष्ममिवातिदूरम् अनन्तमध्यं परिपूर्णम् इदे यस्य ब्रह्मादायो देवा वेदा लोकाश्चरचरः नमारूपा विभेदेन फल्गव्य च कलाय कृतः यथार्थिष्यग्निसवितुर्गभस्तायो निर्यन्ति संयन्ति यशकृत्स्वरुचिषः तथा यतोऽयं गुणसम्प्रवाहो बुद्धिर्नाम खानि शरीर सर्गः सा वै न देव स्वयमृत्या तिर्यन् न स्त्री न सन्तु न पुमन्न जानतुः नयं गुणा कर्म न चन्न चेसन्निष्ठा शेषो जैतादशी सह युजीविषेण हम्य किम् अन्तर्बहिश्च वित्राये भयो न्यायिच्छामि कलेना न यस्य विप्लावस्तस्यात्मा लोके वरनस्य मोक्षं सुह्यं विश्वसृजन् विश्वन् आविश्वन् विश्ववेदसं विश्वात्मानमजं ब्रह्म प्रणतोऽस्मि परं पदं योगारन्धिते कर्मणो रिद्धि योगा विभाविते योगिनो यं प्रपश्यन्ति योगीशं तं नतोऽस्मि अहं नमो नमस्तुभ्यं वशया वेगा शक्तित्रयाय अखिलादिगुणया प्रपानापलाय दुरन्ति शक्तये कदिन्द्रियनामना प्रत्यावर्त्मने नयं वेद स्वमात्मनं यक्षप्यहं धिया हतं तं दुरात्याय महात्म्यं भगवन्तं मृत्युस्मि अहम्. Now the Lord is replying to Gajendra's cry when he was crying for help. So ye mam stuvanti anenanga Pratibudya nishyatya ye te sampranatya ye chaham dadhami pulam gatim. So I will just translate the last verse as the Lord replied. Whoever upon waking up in the morning offers me this prayer, I give an eternal residence in the spiritual world at the end of their lives. Hare Krishna. Gajendra Moksha Stotra ki jai.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Very
Thank
nice.
you.
Okay. Anybody, any questions at all? Anybody like to ask? Okay, we can recite the Nishinga Kavach. Karuna Bandla Mataji. Oh, let me bring it up actually, Mataji. Sorry. I'm a little bit out of sync today. 1 second. Let me just check, Mataji. Okay, let's go for the other one. No, that's correct. Okay. Next Saturday, we are hopefully going to have Prahlad Maharaj to talk about the qualities of a Brahmin. So please join us for that. Of course, all week we will have something going on.
From Friday onwards.
Friday actually is Purushottam Mass beginning. So this is like we should try to make the most of this occasion. It's like 29 days. Try to do some extra austerity, and it will be very, very beneficial indeed. So we're planning to do satsangs every evening, as well as our normal 4 o'clock. In the evening, we wanted to go to different homes on Zoom. So we're not going to travel anywhere, nor do we recommend anybody gather, but we just wanted to meet different families on Zoom. So we're starting to arrange satsangs. So let's see what happens. And then we also, from that day, we want to start the Srimad Bhagavatam. So hopefully, with the Lord's mercy and the blessings of Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, we will start the Bhagavatam at that time. So, okay, thank you very much, Maji. So,
Shri Singh Dev ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Kavacham Vakshe